When the evening arrives, most people treat it like a leftover piece of the day, something to collapse into, something to numb, something to drift through without intention. But your evenings are not scraps. They are the quiet threshold where your mind is most open, your energy is most honest, and your future self is most accessible. If your mornings set the tone, your evenings set the direction, and every time you waste them, you surrender the one window where your inner world is most capable of being rewired. There is a reason so many breakthroughs, creative ideas, and life-changing decisions arrive at night. It's because the noise of the world dissolves and the frequency of your own thoughts becomes unmistakably clear. But when you drown that frequency with distractions, doom scrolling, or the slow leak of procrastination, you silence the very guidance meant to move you forward. So tonight, I want you to imagine your evening as a sacred meeting with the version of you living the life you want. Picture that self sitting patiently, waiting for you to show up, waiting for you to listen, waiting for you to claim the power you keep postponing. Because the truth is, nothing changes until you decide that your evenings matter, that your attention is valuable, that you are worthy of using this quiet space to build instead of escape. The universe responds more strongly to what you do when no one is watching, and your evenings are the ultimate test of this. Anyone can be focused in the morning when the world is structured and expectations are clear. But in the evening, you choose who you are without pressure, without eyes on you, without the identity you perform in the daylight. If you scroll, you're choosing numbness. If you procrastinate, you're choosing avoidance. If you drift, you're choosing stagnation. And these choices multiply silently, shaping your identity long before they shape your outcomes. You don't fail in big dramatic moments. You fail in the tiny unintentional ones. Those quiet minutes where you tell yourself it's okay to abandon the version of you who's trying to rise. But imagine what would happen if instead of defaulting to autopilot, you stepped into your evening with presence, even for 10 minutes. Imagine if you treated it like a sacred appointment with your potential. You would feel clarity return. You would feel your confidence rise. You would feel the subtle shift of becoming someone who is actually moving towards something, not drifting away from it. And I want you to feel this deeply. Your evenings are where your mind becomes teachable again. Mornings are for output. Evenings are for input. This is when your subconscious absorbs more, believes more, accepts more. This is when the universe listens closest because you finally slow down enough to speak with intention. If you use this space to reinforce your doubt, fear, or chaos, you will carry that vibration into the next day. But if you use it to visualize, to affirm, to reflect, to reset even just 1 degree in the direction you want, your entire life pivots. You don't need perfection. You need presence. You don't need hours. You need intention. One aligned evening can undo a week of scattered mornings. You are not wasting evenings because you're lazy. You're wasting them because you haven't realized how powerful they are. You haven't realized that this is the hour when your future self tries the hardest to reach you, the hour where your intuition gets loud, the hour where your desires try to surface. And every time you numb that hour with distractions, you are building a home for your limitations instead of your expansion. Tonight, I want you to reclaim that hour and decide that your life is worth more than passive exhaustion. Decide that your dreams deserve your attention when the world finally becomes quiet. Decide that the person you are trying to become needs you to stop disappearing every night, because the moment you honor your evenings, you stop living by accident and start living by design. Your evening is not the end of the day. It is the beginning of your becoming. The place where your mind loosens its grip on the noise and finally makes room for truth. And when you step into that space with intention instead of avoidance, it feels like your whole inner world exhales. You begin to notice the thoughts you've been suppressing, the ideas that fluttered at the edge of your awareness all day, the quiet knowing that tries to guide you but gets drowned out by urgency and expectation. This is the hour when you can actually hear yourself think, when your intuition rises like a tide, when your energy becomes honest. But so many people numb this honesty because it asks for accountability. It asks for alignment. It asks for courage. And courage always feels harder at night, right when you have the most to gain from it. But imagine if tonight, instead of slipping into another unconscious cycle, you pause for a moment and recognize the magnitude of the opportunity in front of you. Imagine taking a breath and deciding that this one evening, just this one, will not be wasted. That you will sit with yourself long enough to hear what your life has been trying to tell you. Because the truth is, your future is shaped far more by what you do between 7 p.m. and midnight than by what you do between 7 a.m. and noon. The world measures your productivity by day, but the universe measures your alignment by night. And alignment is what actually moves your life. Alignment is what unlocks the intuition that whispers your next step, the resilience that strengthens your identity, the clarity that cuts through confusion like light breaking through fog. When you enter your evening with intention, You are not just ending a day. You are initiating a transformation. Don't underestimate the quiet power of small evening rituals. The simplest ones can shift your internal chemistry, redirect your focus, and activate the deeper, wiser part of yourself. Maybe it's writing one brutally honest sentence in a journal. Maybe it's visualizing the version of you who refuses to shrink. Maybe it's closing your eyes and letting the universe meet you where you are, synchronizing your energy with what you desire instead of what you fear. This is not about discipline, it's about returning to yourself. You don't need to build an empire tonight. You don't need to solve your entire life before bed. You just need to stop abandoning yourself the moment the sun goes down. Because when you show up for yourself at night, you reconnect with your purpose in ways that morning routines alone can't touch. And something remarkable begins to happen when you stop wasting evenings. Your confidence grows quietly from within. Not the loud performative kind that depends on validation, but the steady, unshakable confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself in the hours no one sees. That's the confidence that changes your posture, your tone, your presence. That's the confidence that makes you magnetic, grounded, certain. While everyone else is drifting into distraction, you are tuning into your future like a signal, becoming clearer and clearer until it feels inevitable. You start to feel guided, calibrated, almost telepathically aligned with what's meant for you. Because the universe doesn't respond to scattered energy, it responds to consistent intention. And your evenings are where that intention becomes unmistakably real. Every night you have the chance to step into a higher version of yourself, not through force, but through awareness, through listening, through choosing not to disappear. Your evenings hold the blueprint of your transformation, and the moment you stop treating them like disposable time, you begin to rise in ways that feel both effortless and undeniable. And the world will notice, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer, not because you're doing more, but because you're becoming more. And as you keep honoring these evenings, something even deeper unfolds. Your inner world starts reorganizing itself around the identity you've been trying to grow into. You begin to sense a kind of inner synchronization, where your thoughts, emotions, and intentions stop pulling in different directions and instead begin moving as one unified current. This is the hidden architecture of change, the moment your subconscious finally believes what your conscious mind has been saying you want. And that shift rarely happens in the busy hours of the day, it happens at night, when the mind becomes more permeable, more impressionable, more willing to release the heaviness it clung to earlier. That's why wasting evenings is not harmless. It's self-abandonment at the exact hour your spirit wants to recalibrate. Think about how many nights you've given away without realizing the cost. Nights when you told yourself you were tired, but what you truly were was disconnected. Nights when you reached for distraction, not because you needed rest, but because you didn't want to face the truth rising inside you. But every time you choose to be present instead of escaping, your life begins to gather momentum. The person you want to become starts feeling less like a distant idea and more like a presence forming inside you. And that presence speaks in subtle ways, a clearer thought, a braver impulse, a more grounded sense that you are meant for more than survival. This is why your evenings matter. They are the gateway to that presence, the doorway to the version of you that refuses to dim. When you choose intention, even for a single evening, you activate something powerful. You send a signal to the universe that you are ready to participate in your own evolution, ready to stop delaying the life you want, ready to call your energy back from the places you've scattered it. And that readiness is magnetic. It draws clarity toward you, opportunities toward you, people toward you. You stop feeling like life is something happening to you and begin feeling like life is happening with you, through you, for you. That shift alone can turn an ordinary night into the birthplace of a new identity. Because when you sit in the quiet and actually hear your own thoughts, you're not just listening, you're remembering who you are. And the more you do this, the more your evenings stop feeling like hours to feel and start feeling like hours to elevate. You will notice that your rest becomes deeper because your mind is no longer carrying unresolved noise. Your mornings become sharper because you ended the previous night in alignment, not chaos. Your self-respect grows because you're no longer betraying your potential in the dark. You begin moving through your days with a calm power that others can't quite name, but they feel it, because evening intention creates a different kind of presence, one that radiates from within rather than being performed on the outside. This is the secret most people never realize. Your evenings quietly sculpt your destiny, not through dramatic choices, but through the small, consistent moments where you choose to listen instead of hide, to create instead of consume, to rise instead of retreat. And once you experience even one night of that clarity, you'll never again believe the lie that evenings are meant to be wasted. You'll feel the difference in your body, in your focus, in your sense of direction. You'll feel the universe meeting you, mirroring you, responding to you, not because you worked harder, but because you finally showed up. And the more you show up in these quiet hours, the more you begin to feel a shift in the way you relate to time itself. Evenings stop feeling like the end of something and start feeling like a doorway, a bridge into the next version of your life. You begin to sense that every choice you make after sunset is a conversation with your future. Every moment of awareness becomes a message you send forward, telling your future self, I'm coming for you. I'm preparing for you. I haven't forgotten who I'm supposed to become. And that message echoes back into the present, strengthening you in ways you can feel instantly. A steadier heartbeat, a deeper breath, a quiet certainty you haven't felt in a long time. Because when you treat your evenings as sacred, the universe responds by expanding your capacity. Suddenly you have ideas where you once had confusion, calm where you once had anxiety, direction where you once had drift. This is where the telepathy of alignment begins to reveal itself. You start getting nudges, tiny intuitive sparks that guide you toward exactly what needs to shift. You feel drawn to different habits, different environments, different ways of speaking to yourself. Your internal dialogue softens, your self-sabotage weakens. You look at the same life, but you don't see it the same way. Everything feels more intentional, more connected, more responsive to your inner world. That's the power of reclaiming your evenings. You change your relationship with yourself. And once that changes, everything else begins to recalibrate. You begin noticing how good it feels not to abandon yourself at night, how empowering it is to end your day with clarity instead of chaos, how grounded you become when you allow your mind to settle into alignment instead of spiraling into distraction. Little by little, these evenings become the anchor that keeps you stable when life gets unpredictable. They become the reset button you return to, the ritual that reminds you you're not just reacting to your life, you're shaping it, crafting it, co-creating it with something larger than you. And when that realization lands, you feel something inside you rise, something strong, something ancient, something certain, a knowing that you are not behind, you are not broken, you are not late. You simply needed to come back to yourself. And evenings are where that return begins. 'Cause in the end, the real transformation doesn't happen because you forced yourself into productivity or punished yourself for distraction. It happens because you chose awareness over avoidance, presence over autopilot, intention over escape. It happens because you finally understood that the person you want to become is not asking you for perfection, just consistency, just honesty, just 10 quiet minutes of alignment in the evening when your mind is open and your heart is listening. Those minutes multiplied, they compound, they shift your identity from the inside out until one day you wake up and realize you are no longer fighting to become that future version of yourself. You are already living as them. Your evenings were never meant to be wasted. They were meant to be the meeting place between who you are and who you're becoming. And when you honor that meeting, night after night, your life cannot remain the same. You become someone who moves with purpose, someone who listens to their intuition, someone who carries quiet power into every room. You become the version of yourself who no longer waits for change. You create it, shape it, embody it, and it all begins in those sacred hours when the world quiets, your mind softens, and your future self steps forward to meet you.